Section 2, Reminders in Alexa Skills. In this section, we will cover the following topics: an overview of skill cards, skill permissions, and Reminders API. Reminder skill number 1, Design and Frontend. Reminder skill number 1, Backend and Testing. Reminder skill number 2, Design and Frontend. And finally, reminder skill number 2, Backend and Testing. Video 2.1, an overview of the Reminders API, skill permissions, and cards. In this video, we will cover the following topics: cards in Alexa, skill permissions, and the Reminders API. Firstly, let us get familiar with skill cards and skill permissions before getting to the Reminders API. Skill cards are graphic cards that enhance the interaction between the user and the skill. We can include cards in our custom skills responses to display visual information in the form of text and images. In any skill, the voice responses need to be written for the ear. The skill can use a card to provide additional useful details that would otherwise make the voice response too verbose or difficult to understand as speech. For example, imagine you have a skill that sells clothes of different brands. It is very hard for you to describe apparel with voice alone. You can use cards to display the clothing piece and use Alexa voice to inform about the available sizes, colors, and prices. The Alexa Skills Kit provides different types of cards. Simple card. This displays plain text. Standard card. This displays plain text and can also include an image. Link account card. This card lets users start the account linking process. And finally, ask for permissions consent. This is sent to the Alexa app when a skill requires the customer to grant specific permissions. In a nutshell, the skill cards enhance the user experience by delivering value-added content relevant to the interaction. The users can view these cards in their Alexa apps and Alexa-enabled devices with the display. Let's move on to skill permissions now. As developers, our goal is to build engaging skills. More often than not, we require additional information from the user to provide relevant information in skill responses such as username, number, address, etc. You can configure your skill to request permission from the customer for specific information. Thus, when a user first enables your skill, Alexa asks the user to go to the Alexa app to grant permission to obtain the required information. We can configure our skill to request permissions for information from the developer console. We can find the permissions section on the lower left of the build page. We have to toggle the permission on for the permission that corresponds to the information your skill requires. Only then can we request the user to grant permissions using the Ask for Permissions consent card or using voice permissions. We will now move on to the Reminders API. The Reminders API allows you to set a reminder in the future with a message that you set Alexa to say at a specific time that you decide. For example, you can use the Reminders API to set a daily reminder to go for a jog at the time you specify or to remind you of something on special occasions. The skills you create using Reminders API don't have to focus on reminders alone exclusively. The reminders are just to enhance the functionality of an otherwise useful skill. For instance, imagine you build a skill that helps you reserve tickets for a movie. You can use Reminders API to remind the user about the reservation a few hours before the showtime. Here, the reminder feature adds more value to your customers. Note that the skill requires explicit customer permission to create reminders and can only modify, edit, and delete reminders that the skill itself has created for that customer. Let's look at how to configure your skill to use the Reminders API. We'll also cover the basic working of the Reminders API. The Alexa Skills Kit SDK includes service clients, making it easy to call Alexa APIs within your skill logic. One such service client is the Reminder Management Service Client, and Reminders API can be queried using this. To use the Reminders API, you need to have an Alexa-enabled device as it doesn't work well in Alexa simulators. Your skill can send a request card dynamically to the Alexa app, prompting the user to grant required permissions to access reminders. Amazon handles this in the Alexa app once the skill is enabled. The Alexa app and Alexa privacy settings allow the user to manage skill permissions at any time, and the user can opt out whenever they want to. When the user interacts with the skill, Alexa sends an API access token encapsulating the granted permission each time a request is made. To create reminders for a customer using your skill, you must obtain their informed consent every time you create a reminder. Reminders API provides us with two trigger types: schedule absolute, to schedule a reminder at the time the user wants in their respective time zone. For example, set a reminder at 5 p.m. to work out. Schedule relative, to schedule a reminder related to the current date and time. For example, remind me in 2 hours to walk the dog. In order to create a reminder, we create a reminder request object encapsulating the reminder's trigger type, the time zone of the user, frequency of reminder, alert to speak, and the scheduled time or offset time in seconds. We then pass the object to the instance of the reminder client. The reminder client sends a JSON response which includes the reminder request object, and thus the reminder gets created with a unique ID. You cannot customize the voice delivery for the reminders, but you can set whether the reminder should enable a mobile phone notification. The Alexa app shows completed reminders for 3 days after completion, after which they are automatically deleted. This brings us to the end of this video. Video summary. In this video, we learned about skill cards and its uses, skill permissions, and the reminders API and its working. In the next video, we'll take a stab at our first reminder skill.